Hello, it's me again. I want to talk today about some strategies for managing your emotions. I'm doing this in response to a video that I posted earlier, the real me, and you got to see me get kind of vulnerable and emotional if you saw that. I talked about an anxiety attack and kind of working through that. And I want to share with you the techniques and the strategies that I used to bring myself back to a really good state of mind in that moment. So, you're going to need to put me on pause and go get a pen and a sheet of paper. You'll use the front and back or a couple of sheets of paper. And we're going to go through some exercises. This might be a little bit longer than my other videos, but it's really, really helpful stuff. So, go ahead and put me on pause. And when you get back, we'll walk through this. Okay, so hopefully you have your pen and your paper. Just so you know, in this video, I'm going to make 4 points. The first point is be human, be real. The second one is be curious. The third point will be conscious. And the last point is be in control. So the first point is be human. And I want to talk about allowing yourself to experience and feel emotion. This is really, really important. It's not a good, healthy behavior to just ignore your feelings and kind of like sweep them under the rug. I actually heard a quote once that I thought summed it up perfectly. Someone said, emotions are like children. You cannot allow children to drive the car, but you can't put them in the trunk either. So what that means is you don't want to allow your emotions to control you or drive your behaviors, but you also don't want to just pretend like they don't exist either and just shove them away in the trunk. So you've got to learn how to manage and deal with the emotions. So the first point I want to make is just allow yourself to experience and feel emotion. The second point I want to make is be curious. So the other day when I was having my moment, I really started thinking about what am I actually feeling right now? What are the emotions that I'm experiencing? And most people can only think of about 5 or 6 emotions. So I want to play a little game with you on the first piece of paper that you have. I'm going to give you 30 seconds, and I want you to list the emotions that you can think of. All right, so you have 30 seconds. And I just realized I didn't start my PowerPoint, so this is not going to look professional, but whatever. So you get 30 seconds to think of as many emotions as you can think of. So we're going to switch over. All right, so go. 30 seconds, as many emotions as you can think of. Okay, so count up the emotions that you listed and see how many you have. When I've done this exercise before, most people think of between 4 and 5 emotions. And every once in a while, I get someone that comes up with like 8, which is pretty good. So when you are experiencing an emotional reaction, it's really important to have a really good emotional vocabulary. So what I mean by that is you want to name your emotion. And in order to do that, you have to be curious. You have to stop and think, like, what am I actually feeling right now? So the basic emotions are like sad, happy, afraid, excited, mad, whatever it is. So there are actually hundreds of emotions that we feel. So I want to show you this thing called the feeling wheel. Okay, this is a graphic of emotions. If you look in the center, these are usually like the ones that people think of: bad, surprised, happy, sad, disgusted, angry, fearful. But look at how many emotions there really are, right? So when we increase our emotional vocabulary, we actually have a new tool, right? So we actually have a tool now to where we can communicate our feelings with other people more effectively, but also so we can become like more self-aware. So if you're thinking you're angry, you're not really angry, you're feeling disrespected. Whenever you can communicate that or understand that, it gives you a lot more insight on how you want to handle that emotion. So you might be mad or you might be furious. That's two totally different emotions. They're kind of in the same family, but it's like emotions have levels of intensity. So by increasing your emotional vocabulary, it not only allows you to communicate more clearly, but it gives you some insight into yourself. So be curious. Think about, what am I feeling right now and what would I call that exactly? The third point that I want to make is be conscious. And what I mean by this is I want you to be conscious of your thoughts. So thoughts are different from emotions. You've got thoughts and feelings. Emotions are feelings. Thoughts are like the voice that you hear inside your head, that conversation, that dialogue that you have with yourself. So it's a conversation in your mind. It's things that you are telling yourself about a situation. Our thoughts happen sometimes without us even being aware of what's going on. So you need to be conscious. You need to really pay attention to what's going on in your mind and what are you telling yourself. So listen to the voice inside of your head and pay attention and be conscious of that. So after conscious is be in control. And being in control means that we take control over our thoughts. And this is called cognitive reframing, or if you had my emotional intelligence class, you may have heard me call it cognitive restructuring. But basically all that means is I am changing what the voice inside of my head is saying. So I want to walk you through this so that you can see what I mean. I'm going to switch back over to this PowerPoint, okay? So here are all the emotions. Now take a look at this. This is another just visual of emotions, and I've highlighted a lot of the negative emotions right here. So think about an experience that you've had just recently, or a really strong emotional reaction that you had, and I want you to think about, like, what were you actually feeling, okay? Was it anxiety? Were you feeling rejected? Were you feeling, resentful, out of control? These emotions, by giving them a label, is going to give you a lot of insight onto what's going on. Now, this is what's happening in your brain. When something happens, and we'll just take this quarantine or this coronavirus event that's going on in the world right now, we tell ourselves a story about the event. And the story, these are our thoughts. This is the voice inside our head. The things that we tell ourselves generates emotions. And from those emotions, we react. So this is how it looks. If you're having negative thoughts, then that will produce negative emotions, and you're going to have a negative reaction. Likewise, if you have positive thoughts, guess what? You'll have positive emotions, and then you'll have a positive reaction. So here's what I want you to do now. I want you to grab that piece of paper, and I want you to create 3 columns. And let me put that back up there. I switched over too fast. So I want you to create something that looks similar to this on the paper. And I'm actually going to walk you through the experience that I had just yesterday. We're going to see what cognitive reframing looks like for Peggy. And this is going to give you a template to walk you through when you have these moments and you need to do some cognitive reframing. So go ahead and draw this out, sketch this out on your paper, get it ready, and then I'll walk you through my experience. If you have to pause it to get more time to draw that out, that's fine. But I'm going to switch to my experience. So here it goes. So the first thing is I'm having negative thoughts about everything going on. This is so bad. Nothing will ever be the same after all of this. You are at high risk. This is what I'm telling myself. You are at high risk and probably will get the virus. You're having a hard time breathing. This is one of the symptoms people are reporting. You live alone, so no one is there to take care of you. If you do get sick, your business will never recover from this. You will have to stop doing what you love and settle for another job. You have a lot of family members who are high risk. It would be devastating to lose someone close to you over this. So these are the things that I remember like were going on in my mind. And I was kind of unconscious of it because I was watching the news a lot yesterday and just kind of in my head, and I wasn't being really aware of what my story was inside. So look at the middle column under the negative emotions. This is what was happening. I was feeling vulnerable, lonely, overwhelmed, afraid, hopeless, disappointed, and totally out of control. So here is how I reacted to those negative emotions. I started having difficulty breathing. I was crying. I didn't want to get out of the bed. I was procrastinating doing the things that I knew I needed to do, like chores and some different work. I couldn't eat. And honestly, I was having an anxiety attack. So this is the process. My negative thoughts produced these negative emotions, and I allowed it to get to the point where I was having some negative reactions. Now, on the bottom part, this is how I worked myself back into a good state of mind, and I'm feeling so much better today. And I'm going to tell you, this does not happen in 5 minutes. It literally took me a few hours to pull myself into this because I was going back and forth between the negative and positive thoughts. So, positive thoughts, you're emotionally strong and you have survived some very tough things. You are generally healthy and have been cautious by staying home and using common sense. There are a lot of reasons you may be having a hard time breathing. It could be allergies, it could be a regular cold, or it could just be anxiety. You live alone, but you are blessed with amazing friends who love you and you will be fine. You have many skills that would allow you to do a variety of jobs. If the business doesn't recover, you will find something else. Your family members are taking precautions as well. Right now, everyone is fine. Worrying about things you have no control over, sorry about that, is pointless. Be thankful that everyone is okay. So what you're doing here is you're challenging the negative thoughts with something more positive, more rational, more balanced. So when you start having the negative thoughts, challenge them. Replace them with something that's more realistic and practical and reasonable and rational. These are the emotions I started to feel as I had this positive conversation with myself. I started to feel more powerful because I started remembering things in my past that I had overcome. I was optimistic, hopeful, felt peace. I was encouraged and motivated. These are the reactions I had. I was able to stop crying. I got out of bed. I remembered some breathing exercises, and I started breathing normally. I was able to pray and become more aware of my senses. I show you how to do that in another video that brings you back to the moment. I turned on some positive music. I started singing along. I was able to make some videos yesterday. I got some work done. I did some of my online classes. I stretched and exercised. I was smiling. And at the end of the day, I called my daughter and we encouraged each other. It was awesome. So here's the thing. This is not something that you're going to like perfect and always be good at. This is something that takes practice, and it's kind of like a battle in your mind, going back and forth, finding that balance between those thoughts like we talked about in another video. So you can use this worksheet to kind of become conscious of what's going on inside of you and what you're feeling. And take a minute and like say, like, how am I reacting? And I was physically having a hard time breathing because I had just kind of allowed the negative thoughts to win a little bit. And I was unconsciously having an anxiety attack. I just want you guys to know this is something I've studied for years, and I know this process. And I know it's easy on paper, but when you're in that moment and you're emotionally charged, it's hard. It's hard to recall and actually make yourself go through it. So use this template. Write down what you're feeling, or write down what you're thinking, what you're feeling, and how you're acting. And then use this template at the bottom to challenge that. Create new thoughts. watch how your mood and your emotions change, and then watch how your physical reactions change and record that. And I would love for you guys to share your experience with this if it works. So I'm going to flip back one more time to this, and I just want to go over, first of all, the first point is be human. Allow yourself to feel the emotions that you're having, because this opens the door to some self-discovery. You don't want to just ignore it and shove it under the rug and not deal with it. Second point, be conscious. Pay attention to your thoughts. What is the voice inside your head saying? Because those thoughts, that voice, is what produces your emotion. Name the emotions that you're feeling. Go back in the video and look at that feeling wheel and look at the list of the emotions that I showed you. There are so many, more than just 5 or 6. And being able to specifically name an emotion gives you more fuel when you're challenging your negative thoughts, right? And then the last thing is be in control. Reframe your thoughts. Change what the voice inside of your head is saying. One thing that I can honestly tell you that is absolutely true is that you cannot control the things around you. You can't control people. You can't control things that are coming at you all the time. But it is, in fact, true that you can control you. This is not you against the coronavirus. This is not you against the world. This is you against you. You get to pick if you want to take control of that voice inside your head and reframe that story that you're telling yourself and have those positive reactions. So I challenge you, I encourage you, and I have faith in you that we can do this together, and I'm going to be practicing it. And please let me know what you think. Share this with your friends. This is valuable information that has changed my life. It really, really helped me through some difficult times. So I hope this helps you. I hope you have an amazing day, and I will see you again soon.